Okay. So, in your opinion, does cultural appropriation affect not only uh, NFL or NBA or any other national football or national leagues of sports like the Redskins? Does it also affect children's sports team like the Little Tykes or any other
Hmm.
sports teams that would be here at Deer for any other school nationwide?
I do know that through our research and reading and that we did in class, there was a bunch of this. I don't know why it was in California, but maybe it's because California is like, you look at where a lot of these very progressive political ideas come from that are very like, with a lot of like, maybe like cultural appropriation or different things like that. A lot of it does come from like the west coast of the country. So in California, there was a lot of high school teams that changed their mascot names as well. That were called like the Indians or or some other ones they had. There were some different things that were mostly like Indian related or tribal,
Mm-hmm.
and they changed them too. So I guess it definitely does trickle down from professional sports down to high school sports, and I guess it probably could trickle down to even younger kids booster sports and stuff like that. Um, I don't know why the Redskins thing happened all of a sudden. I mean, it's interesting. They've been called the Redskins forever, and it wasn't until a certain point that an upwelling of unrest and protest came about that logo, and I don't know what spurred that. Certainly, Native Americans knew about the Redskins. That football franchise has been in existence, I don't know, since the 1950s or probably before. I don't know exactly. But certainly it was never complained about. Is it because, A, Native American culture groups didn't feel supported and comfortable voicing those concerns, but they always were concerned? Maybe. Is it because, B, somebody put a bug in those cultural ears? Like, hey, you guys ought to be really offended about this. Don't you see what this is doing? This is making fun. Did that happen, and then that caused them to want to step forward? I don't know. They certainly are up in arms about it now. I don't know what caused it to happen at this certain time point in history. What caused what caused nobody to care about Elvis Presley's cultural appropriation of black rock and roll and blues? What caused nobody to care for 50 years? Although people knew about it, and then all of a sudden it was like it came up somewhere and it was like wildfire, and then it was like, Elvis Presley stole this music and Elvis Presley and all these things, but it's like this hadn't been a secret. So what causes people to suddenly care? I don't know. I would think somebody gets a hold of it and thinks they can make a good story out of it, and a journalist gets a hold of it and it makes a good story out of it, and it catches on from there. And we love controversy, they say in the newspaper industry, if it bleeds, it leads. So anything that's going to make people angry and irate and drum up controversy is going to go on the front page. And if you have a chance to knock down the king of rock and roll or knock down an NFL franchise or something like that, you're going to take that shot.
Earlier you said, I'm sorry, I'm just confused.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier you said that the high schools, they changed their mascot's name. They changed it to something that was offensive, or they changed it
So
from...
I think one of the ones was like it was a California high school that was called the Indians. There was another one that was called the Tribe. There was another one. The situation was their original name might have been like the Fightin' Seminoles or something like that, and they changed them to less offensive names, like the Bulldogs or
okay.
the Ravens. They changed them to these non-cultural kind of identities to probably to avoid
Mm-hmm.
any sort of controversy.
Okay.